Mark, let's bring you back because, of course, lots of manipulation going on around democracy in the States. And you've got a little segment here on the manipulation of elections.
Yes, Brian, a quick comment about Kamala Harris from earlier. All the media going all in for her, despite the fact that she was the first to drop out in the 2016 Democratic presidential primary, the first to drop out in the Democratic presidential primary of 2016, and the polling showing her hitting incredibly high poll numbers is extremely bogus, bordering on fake. And soon I'll have some news on UK column about the pollsters themselves and their backgrounds. But going into VoterGA, voters organized for trusted election results in Georgia, Garland Favorito, who I've interviewed on the UK column before, and we can put that interview link in show notes. He came out about 21 days ago, about 3 weeks ago, and addressed the state election board of the state of Georgia. And there's Garland as he is giving the presentation. And this was an extremely pivotal presentation that he gave. And it shows how the news media is completely contradicting the actual sum and substance of that meeting. This quote from Garland spells out the way what he had to say to the state election board at the beginning of his presentation. This is Garland himself, the co-founder of VoterGA. I want to talk to you about the most important case in election board history. This is more allegations than all the other complaints combined since I have been attending election board meetings for 20 years. For 20 years, he emphasized. And viewers may recall on the interview that I did, he really exposes Georgia to be ground zero in proving that the 2020 elections were in fact stolen. Anyway, these are the main 2 points that the election board 3 weeks ago acted on as a direct consequence, Brian, of Garland's presentation. I wrote these myself. Due to Garland's 16-minute presentation about 21 days ago, the Georgia Election Board voted for memory card retention and reconciliation for a 2-year minimum. Applying, yes, it does, applying to the 2024 presidential election and all the other down ballot races that'll appear on the ballot. This adheres to both state and federal law and pertains to in-person voting. Also, on the second point, also due to Garland, the board voted in favor of a procedure to detect QR code errors that reject ballots and exist within the Dominion computerized vote casting and vote counting system. These are really huge items. A memory card, basically electronically, think of a ballot box full of pieces of paper. A memory card is a digital version of that. So there's much more than meets the eye there. This is very significant. Meanwhile, however, the media is painting a completely different picture of that Georgia State Election Board meeting. The media is trying to say that the State Election Board granted a bunch of new powers to about 159 counties, I believe there is in the state of Georgia. And these new powers will empower each county, the officials in each county, to endlessly second guess the election results and to upend and create chaos throughout the whole process. This is an NBC News item here. Georgia gives local officials new powers to investigate election results. And again, they're trying to say that this is going to just throw the whole system into chaos. But here's what Garland said on that same slide in response to that news item. This is all a facade, blaming Republicans. If Kamala Harris doesn't do well, then GOP or Republican meddling can be blamed. There is nothing new. Georgia law already has given counties plenty of leeway. So the media is exaggerating, if not outright fabricating, what that board meeting was about and avoiding altogether what Garland had to say in his 16-minute presentation and what the board did in response to what Garland Favorito said. So this is just another news clip. I need not really go into it. Georgia gave local officials significant new powers over the certification of election results, a move that could delay or derail future post-election certification processes. That same came out of that same August 7th NBC News report. So it's completely skewing what happened at that meeting and misrepresenting the main thrust of what the board decided, Brian. So as in the Kamala Harris situation and now in this one, the media is completely using misdirection and sometimes outright fabrication on these very pivotal issues because Georgia is ground zero. Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State of the state of Georgia, is like the proverbial guy with the finger in the dike, and the waters want to come through. So therefore, Georgia is where this whole thing could blow wide open. And as goes Georgia, so goes the rest of the pivotal states from the 2020 election, where all of this would come out, and how the Secretary of State has managed to control this so far to this degree is really amazing. But Georgia stands at the brink, if Garland is fully successful, of completely coming apart and having to completely admit the myriad evidence of election tampering and theft in that state. And again, that would implicate the other states as well, the pivotal states from that election. So this is a very pivotal issue. We'll keep a very close eye on the state of Georgia to see if the Secretary of State can keep the tidewaters away. It'll be amazing if he can, but we'll see what happens. So back to you, Brian.
Mark, thank you very much for that. And let's remember that the tide waters that you describe are really the truth. It's the truth that's going to come through that hole in the dam. And it's the truth that can do so much for us with so many problems that we face, not only within the Western societies, but across the world. So we'll end the UK column news there. I'd just like to say that as part of our special dedication for our viewers and listeners, Mike has come in from his holiday today in order to help run the studio. Stephanie, unfortunately, unwell, but we keep the show running for you, our UK column viewers, and what a wonderful group of people you are. Thank you very much for joining us today. Big thank you to everybody watching UK column news, wherever you are in the world. Debbie, Mark, thank you for joining me. We will be back for extra time in just a few minutes, so if you're a paid up UK column member, please join us there. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.